It's Doki Doki Literature Club's 5th anniversary today, so you know I had to make something, right? But since it's kind of hard to make top lists or rank anything in the official canon, I'm going to go over my top 4 favorite mods. Yes, I know 4 is a weird number. However, I don't think I've played enough to warrant 5, and I definitely don't think I've played enough mods to warrant 10, but I have played some of the more popular ones out there, and I decided to share with you my 4 favorites. I will be heavily spoiling a few of these, and just kind of minor spoiling some of them. So if you hear a mod that you feel like playing, definitely stop the video and go play it yourself. All these mods are great, obviously, or I wouldn't be making the video, duh. And I can also tell you some things that they kind of left me with. Things that I can take away. Lessons, if you will. Also, reminder, if you want to make a list like this, I'll make the video for you. Just contact me. All you have to do is make the list. If you're on the subreddit, contact me on Reddit. Or if you're watching the video normally, you can find me on Discord. Click the YouTube link in the description. All the information is in that video. But with all that in mind, let's get started with the ranking. Number 4 is going to be Switcheroo. On the surface, Switcheroo looks like a gender swap DDLC mod. I love how some of these mods on this list portray themselves as one thing, and then you play it and it turns out to be another, which is keeping up with the themes of the original game. The original game looked like a normal dating sim with cute girls or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's a horror game. And somehow this mod managed to recapture it because it is not just a gender swap mod. I thought it was until I started seeing it get all kinds of praise and overhype, and I was wondering what the deal was, so I played it. It is amazing. It is very impressive. It is very impressively made. New moments, new scares, new twists, tweaks to the characters, and major tweaks. Like Mateo, this Mateo dude is not Monica. This is not Monica. This is not the Monica you know. This is a completely different character, but the other characters are roughly intact. But all this stuff is for story purposes. That's not a bad thing. And the fact that they were able to keep you on the string and lure you in the whole time is very amazing. The fact that they were able to rewrite an original story and just kind of reformat it a little bit to fit their story, and it still works like the original game did, is impressive. It's very impressive. And honestly, that's just why I love the mod. It's very well made, it's very impressive. I will say it's very dark, so, you know, careful. There was one scare in particular that really got me. Like, they changed the scares a lot, too. It really got me. It wasn't a jump scare exactly, but it was almost cinematic how well it worked. Honestly, I don't really have any complaints for it. I actually meant to go back and see if there was any other ending for it, like a good ending, kind of like the original game, but I never ended up going back and doing that because I was playing other mods. Some of them are on this list. Now, what did I learn from this mod? Well, it's number 4 for a reason, and that's because despite how very well made it was, how entertaining it was, I didn't really take anything from it. I didn't learn anything. I mean, I guess I learned a little bit about other conditions, and I won't spoil that because it's really not necessary to, but, you know, nothing really like emotional. I learned something scientific, maybe biological, but nothing exactly mind-blowing. But like I said, it's number 4 for a reason. Number 3 is Doki Doki Storm. This one is going to confuse a few people because, especially the creator, I have done nothing but nag on the ending. I've probably done more doing that than praising it, although I do try to praise it any chance I get, because the ending, you can kind of separate it from the rest of the story and it won't really have much of an impact. So I don't hate that, I suppose, and I won't spoil the ending just so you won't have any kind of bias for or against. But what is told up until that point, and the ending I'm complaining about is only like a few lines towards the end, right? It's not any length of time, but everything before that is so well written. It's the original game from Yuri's perspective, and it is so well written. You believe this is Yuri, and you have to really get into a mind of a character to write something like this. It also is very dark, maybe not in the exact same ways as Switcheroo, but it is very emotionally dark, but it's also emotionally happy, which is even weirder, right? Is that not weird? One of my favorite moments is when Yuri, when she confirms that she's friends with MC, she just starts, when she goes home, she just dances and cries with joy, and there's this music playing, and it's like, dang, this mod taught me to appreciate your friends, dang it. Don't take them for granted. Of course, this mod is definitely not for the squeamish. There's like descriptions and sound effects and things that play, and it's just, it'll really make your spine tingle, not in the good way either. Not in like the ASMR way, like the bad, like the chalk on, like the nails on the chalkboard kind of way. Like, yeah, it depends who you are, I guess, but, you know, there's some very graphic material in here, so definitely be warned before heading in. By the way, this story is fantastically told, and to the point where I really wish It didn't follow the original game, but it did, and I actually think it worked to its benefit and to great success. New perspectives that we haven't seen, and it's well written. What's not to love? Number 2 is, this is a weird one. Alright. Magical literary heroine Natsuki saves the literature club. That is the title of the mod. And it sounds goofy. It sounds overly fantastical. It sounds like a meme. It's not. At first it may feel like it. Basically, Natsuki becomes self-aware, and she gets you, the player, to use MC to help her save everybody from their demises in the original game. And it's told in a very cool perspective, I think. You can kind of time travel around. And apparently, it looks like there's a lot of ways to affect certain endings. So I'm curious as to that stuff, but since I got the good ending on my first try, I don't really feel much of a desire to go back and get bad endings. Like, why would I want bad endings? I've already experienced bad endings. No more. But what really struck me, and this is the contrast from this game to Storm, is how they ended it. They ended it leaving you with something to think about on purpose. They didn't just call it a day once everybody was safe, right? No, at the end, Natsuki demands that you delete her. She wants you to delete her. Now, not everyone's watching. It's just you and her, but she wants you to delete her. And I think how long it took me to really decide on whether to do it or not is actually kind of telling to the message that it was wanting to portray. Now, I don't remember exactly how she worded it, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but from what I remember, it's kind of like, they're just game characters. Don't take them so seriously. Don't invest so much emotional energy into them, I guess. And basically, that the problems that the characters suffer are not things that can be fixed within the length of a video game. They will take months, years, you know, they aren't short-term conditions, they are long-term conditions, and they need lots of work. So essentially what this mod did was take this concept of Doki Doki Literature Club, and although they do kind of stick with this sort of slightly unrealistic, almost fanatical sense, this sort of atmosphere of Doki Doki, right? They bring it all back down. They bring it all back down to reality with the last few lines that Natsuki gives you. Now, like I said, I don't remember exactly what she says. This is kind of what my brain is telling me happened, which it should be accurate, but you know, you never know. But despite it being kind of short and the really weird name behind it, I think it's a really great mod that'll leave you thinking. And that's one of my favorite things that these DDLC mods do, is leave you thinking. Especially when certain mods just seem to be sad for the sake of it, and I really don't like that. Not that they're bad mods, it's just that I personally don't really want that. But before moving on to number 1, I have one honorable mention to make. And that's because it doesn't seem to be in the same genre. That is Monica After Story. Monica After Story is arguably the most popular mod ever made. Basically, it takes Act 3 and just lets it go on forever, except there's way more dialogue. You can do things with Monica. It's got a much more cheery atmosphere. You can give her gifts. Basically, she turns into a companion. It's like a companion app, and you just gotta sit there and talk to her a lot, you know? And it's actually very well made. There's a lot of things to do, and you could make the mod last a long time and still find fresh things to talk about. And if you get higher affection with Monica, she'll unlock more things to talk about and do. You can even give her a promise ring, which is something that I think I kind of knew already existed, but then finally confirmed it in my mind whenever she brought up the topic. And you can give it to her, she'll be really happy. It's a really well-made companion app. The problem is that we're comparing it to stories, right? These visual novel stories. This is a companion app, basically, and you know, putting them both in like to a list like that is just kind of hard. I'm not saying Monica After Story is bad, it's really good. I've spent a pretty good amount of time with it. It's just, you know, different genres, kind of hard to compare, so I just kind of left it as an honorable mention. I think if I did put it on a list like this, it would end up on number 5, maybe 6 if I found something better on this list, but anyway, I thought I would just mention it since it is a very popular mod and it is very well made. And it's still being worked on. Go support it. Number 1, what is my favorite mod? Easy. Doki Doki Blue Skies. Now, it is a little too easy to call this one your favorite. It has a ton of content, multiple endings for each girl except for Monica. She had to be canceled due to background reasons. Also, one of the artists got sick, so Monica is not included, unfortunately. But they did give us a few deleted scenes that they have made for her following up to it, so that's fine, I guess. By the way, it's one of those save everybody kind of mods, and it works really well. Although, I actually do have more objective issues with this one as opposed to the other mods. This one seems to have a bit of a writing quality dip. It goes from Natsuki being the best, Yuri being second best, and Sayori being kind of mid as far as quality goes. Lowest quality, which is kind of mid quality, which is kind of ironic considering that that's like the reverse order that I would put the characters in. Sayori's my favorite, Yuri next, Natsuki third, although she is kind of fighting with Yuri for second place, which is also insanely ironic. Please let the ironies end. But why would I put Blue Skies up here? If it's a typical story that's been told so many times that it's annoying, why make it number 1? It was the first video game to ever make me cry. Not like bawling, right? Tears were shed, basically, right? It wasn't sniffling, but it also wasn't bawling my eyes out. It was tears being shed, and this was the first game to do that. It was a mod for Doki Doki Literature Club called Doki Doki Blue Skies. Now, what part of it made me cry? It was one of the bad endings, and I won't spoil that much, but, well, maybe I should. You kind of need context. Alright, I'm going to spoil it, so if you want to play Blue Skies, go do it. But Natsuki's bad ending, which, horribly enough, is actually really hard to not get. But this is another dip in writing quality that the other characters have. The other characters were easy to get the good endings. This one was easy to get the bad ending, and I don't really like that. Like, I got the bad ending like 3 times before I finally just had to look it up. Pro tip, spend as much money as you possibly can. Those are the choices that aren't obvious. But Natsuki's dad kills her by accident, but he still does it. And you see her in a body bag being carried out. Oh my god, it's horrible. It's horrible. And there's even like a middle weird, like, grim ending that no one dies, but it's still really grim. Basically, you never see Natsuki again because both of your lives interfere with each other. And then the club disbands and the skies are gray. It sucks for like entirely different reasons. But I got both of those endings before the good ending. So now I can't even think of the good ending. I'm thinking of the bad endings. But the happy moments I had with Sayori and Yuri, they kind of made up for it a little bit. I will warn, speaking of things like that, there is not safe for work content in here, but not of the grotesque variety or like the super dark variety or anything like that. So nothing horrible, but they do give you options to censor this content. So it's not too bad. But I just like being given those choices, right? Trying to affect the outcomes. I'm glad I didn't get the bad endings for the others. I don't know if I could have taken that. So what lesson did I take away from Blue Skies? Well, there's a lot of things you could say that I could take away from this. Be there for people who need you to be there, right? Again, don't take your friends for granted, just like Storm. Make wise decisions. Communication is key, although a bunch of old people will already tell you that, so I guess the game didn't really need to. Okay, I'll be honest, the things I'm saying that I learned, I'm kind of reaching for. It's number 1, because it's a very quality mod. I know I said that there's a writing dip, but I still really enjoyed these stories. It just felt like they put more time into Natsuki's story, and then less into Yuri's, and then even less into Sayori's. Which I'll admit, Sayori's kind of hard to write a super intriguing story for, that it like surpasses a certain amount of time. But I may be nagging on them, but I still really enjoy them, and I still love this mod. It's still my favorite. It was also, I think, the second mod ever that I played. It was either that one or Monica After Story that was first. I don't know. But essentially, this is number 1 because it was the first video game to make me cry, and it just has really good storytelling in it. And honestly, as far as subjectivity goes, that's the only reason I need. That was it for my list. You're probably going to hate me for that, especially you on the subreddit, but you know what? I don't care. And also, I think Monica's pose in Blue Skies is perfectly fine. It's symbolic of the fact that she's not self-aware. I'm going to quit with that now. Like I said, though, make a list. I'll make the video for you on this channel. Easy. Tell me your favorite mod in the comments if you don't want to make a list. Just tell me your favorite. Do you have a least favorite? I have a least favorite, but I won't go over that today. That's going to be it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later. Have a good day. Yeet.